Good luck.
Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İngiltere'de ilk 20'de yer alan University of Nottingham'da eğitimi Isabella'dan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Isabella, the stage is yours now.
Perfect, thank you. So hello everyone, I'm just going to share my screen so that you're able to see the presentation and then we will get started. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. There seemed to be a little bit of a delay, just one moment and I should be able to share the presentation. Today we are going to go through what it's like to study at the University of Nottingham. So I'll tell you a little bit of information about the university's history, how we got started, and we'll talk through courses, grades that you need to apply to be able to study with us, as well as what it's like being a student. So hopefully you should be able to see my screen and we will get started. So my name is Bella and I work at the University of Nottingham supporting students that are applying from Turkey as well as across the Middle East who are interested in studying with us. So as mentioned, today we're just going to go through a bit of a background of Nottingham, what it's like studying here and being a student in Nottingham. So we'll start with why study in the UK. You will have lots of options of countries that you might be thinking about, but why the UK particularly? Well, the UK education system is one of the most highly regarded worldwide. So it's one of the oldest and it's recognised by employers globally as being one of the kind of strongest education systems. There's lots and lots of different options of what you can study, how you can study here in the UK. You can do bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, research programs. You can combine courses, different subject areas, and there's lots of different entry routes in as well. So we also offer things like foundation programs. And lots of courses that we have here in the UK are available as what we call professional programs that you can study straight from high school. So things like law, medicine, psychology, engineering, where you start working in this subject area straight from year one. And they have professional accreditation as well. So you're working towards becoming recognised as an employee in that field. In the UK, we now also have a post-study work visa, so a graduate visa, which means that when you finish your course, you can actually stay and work in the UK for up to 2 years when you finish, which gives you a really good opportunity to get experience working within a company or a business here in the UK. And one of the benefits to the UK is that we have quite a unique kind of teaching and learning style. So students are very much encouraged to participate in classes. You'll get to know your lecturers and professors really well and kind of really get involved in what you're being taught. Research is a big focus here in the UK as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the next slide. In terms of applying to the UK, it's generally a fairly streamlined application process. Depending on whether you're applying for a bachelor's degree or a master's course. And the UK has so many vibrant, diverse cultures. It's a very, very welcoming place for international students, and there's something for everyone here. So why study with Nottingham specifically? So some of the reasons we like to say Nottingham is a really good place to come and do your degree is that it is kind of recognised for having a really strong global reputation for excellence. So we're a member of the UK Russell Group. So some of you may have heard of this. It is a group of research intensive universities who largely focus on latest developments in that subject area or that field of research. So very similar in terms of kind of prestige to the Ivy League in the US. And you might think, well, I'm not necessarily coming to do a research degree, so why does that matter? But what it means is that you're being taught by experts in that field, and they are always working on latest innovations and the latest research that's happening. So good examples of that this past kind of year, 18 months, have been our academics working on vaccine research. We've had engineering students working on protective equipment. We've had medic students graduating early to work in hospitals. So lots of really kind of relevant research goes on at Russell Group universities. We are 8th in the UK for our research power. We are a top 20 university in the UK, top 70 in the world for employability. So you can have really good kind of graduate prospects. And the university is this year Sports University of the Year. So it's also a really fantastic place if you want to continue with kind of your sporting career, if you're competing at a high level, or if you are just starting out and you want to try something new, it's also a really good place for that. So recognizing that kind of aspect of it too. So one of the things I get asked most often is, where is Nottingham? So lots of people will have heard of the university, but they're not 100% sure where it is. So Nottingham is a fairly small sized city right in the middle of England. So you can see here on the map, it's right in the middle. It's quite a compact sized city. So something I really like about it is that you can walk everywhere within the city centre. And we are about 1 hour and 40 minutes on the train to London, 2 hours to Manchester, and just 1 hour from Birmingham, which is the second biggest city in the UK. So it's a really, really good location for travelling, for exploring the rest of the UK. So you get really good transport links. But Nottingham itself, although it's a city centre, is very close to some really beautiful countryside. So places like the Peak District, which is a big national park here in the UK. So you get a lot of different aspects to living in Nottingham. And one of the nice things about it is that it is an incredibly friendly place, but also a very safe place to live. So there's something in the UK called a Purple Flag Award, and this recognises cities for their safety, particularly at night. And Nottingham has been awarded this every year since 2010. So it just really kind of shows the value of living in somewhere like Nottingham. So as a university, Nottingham is fairly big. So we actually have campuses here in the UK, but we also have campuses in China and Malaysia as well. And we welcome students from more than 150 different countries to study with us. Here in the UK, we have just over 34,000 students based at our UK campuses, and about 10,000 of our students are international. So very much a multicultural student body. And once our students graduate, we try to keep in touch as best we can. We have lots of kind of schemes for you to connect with alumni, lots of events that we put on for our alumni to get back in touch with each other. So we have quite a global alumni community with around 300,000 graduates. So that's something that you then become part of when you finish your degree, and you can keep in touch with Nottingham for life, essentially. So just to talk a little bit about how the university kind of got started, we go back as far as the late 1800s, and we actually started as a college based in the city centre here in Nottingham. And in our kind of earlier days, we had people like D.H. Lawrence study with us, so famous writer, poet, and Nottingham is actually a UNESCO City of Literature, so lots of kind of links back to that. And we moved to the campus that we're currently based on, so University Park campus, in 1928. And this was actually donated to us by someone called Sir Jesse Boot. And if anyone has actually been to the UK before, you might have been to kind of a pharmaceutical store called Boots. And Sir Jesse Boot was the founder of that company. So Nottingham has quite strong links to Boots. Things like ibuprofen were created here. So pharmacy is a very strong aspect at Nottingham. We're 5th in the world for pharmacy. So really kind of linking back to our original roots and going kind of from strength to strength there. So again, in the kind of early 1900s, some other kind of popular names that we've had here at the university. So we had Einstein visit to give a guest lecture. and the blackboard he did his workings out on are still here in one of the libraries in Nottingham, which is quite a cool thing to go and see, particularly for students doing things like physics or maths. It's quite a unique piece of history. And a year later, we had Gandhi come and give a talk to our students. So his nephew was actually studying with us. We became the University of Nottingham, as we are now, in 1948. And to kind of highlight some of the research that goes on and that we've been involved in the 1970s, one of our professors, so Peter Mansfield, he was involved in the development of the MRI technology scanner. So if anyone's had an MRI scan, that technology was invented here at Nottingham, and he actually won a Nobel Prize for his working on that. So it really just shows the kind of level of research that goes on at Nottingham that's still used today. And in more modern times, we have had our overseas campuses open. So Malaysia was the first, and that opened in 2000. And in 2006, the China campus opened. So really kind of good opportunities to spend part of your degree overseas as well. And as mentioned, we now actually have over 300,000 graduates. So a really big alumni community and lots of students who study here at Nottingham. So in terms of what you can actually study with us, and I'll just point out as well, if anyone does have questions, please feel free to put them into the chat box, and we will pick those up at the end. So we have 5 main faculties here at the university, and one of the key things to say about kind of a big public research university like Nottingham is that it means that we can offer almost every subject area. There's very few things that aren't available at Nottingham, and that's subject areas like dentistry, fashion, and theatre. But the majority of other subjects will be available here. So the first faculty we have is the Faculty of Arts. This is a really broad-ranging faculty covering everything from languages, English, through to history, politics, philosophy, religion. There's a huge range of subjects that can be studied here. The next faculty we have is the Faculty of Engineering, and this spans quite a few different subject areas. So you can see here on screen, architecture, aerospace, chemical and environmental engineering, civil engineering, electrical and electronic, mechanical, materials and manufacturing engineering, and we also have a foundation in engineering and physical sciences. So lots and lots of different options within engineering. We do incredibly well within engineering. Lots of our subjects are within the top 10 in the UK. You can see here that our mechanical materials and manufacturing department is actually in the top 100 in the world. And in terms of research, we have some really strong research facilities here at the university, particularly within things like power electronics. So we have the biggest research facility for that. And Rolls-Royce also has one of their research centres here on campus. So their headquarters are just 20 minutes away from Nottingham. So we do a lot of work with Rolls-Royce, and they have lots of our students on placement with them. So lots of different opportunities within engineering. The next faculty we have is the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, and this is actually split into health sciences and life sciences. So within health sciences, this includes things like midwifery, physiotherapy, sports rehabilitation, nursing, but also veterinary medicine and veterinary physiotherapy. So lots of different options, and again, some really strong rankings. So we're 36th in the world for veterinary science. The faculty continues into life sciences, and again, this is quite a broad subject area, so it includes things like biology, pharmacology, genetics, sports science, and then we have things like immunology, microbiology, so really, really broad, and we also offer medicine and cancer sciences as well. We have our Faculty of Science, so this includes areas like psychology and computer science, as well as biosciences, so areas like nutrition, clinical nutrition. And as I mentioned earlier, we are 5th in the world for pharmacy, so a really, really strong subject area. And then we have our Faculty of Social Sciences, and this is where you will find things like law, economics and business, as well as politics and sociology. So again, lots and lots of different subject areas that students can choose from. And one of the nice things is that most of our courses will have options for study abroad, as well as placement years or placement semesters. So you get a lot of work experience opportunities within your program. Some of our courses we will offer as both, if you're studying a bachelor's degree, for example, a 3-year bachelor or a 4-year integrated master's. And we have lots of specialisms for master's and PhD study. So in terms of requirements, scholarships and fees, depending on the subject level that you're kind of choosing, for undergraduate students, we typically consider quite a range of different qualifications. So from selected schools, we can accept the Turkish high school diploma. And the grade you need will depend on the subject that you're choosing to study, but typically 73 to 78% in your final year. We also accept the IB diploma, as well as SAT subject tests or AP subject tests. And we also offer a foundation program here at the university. So some students will come through the foundation route. For postgraduate courses, for master's level, typically it would be a GPA of around 3. For a bachelor honours degree. Some of those will be slightly lower, some will be slightly higher. And for PhD study, so research programs, you normally need a good bachelor and master's degree, as well as a research proposal. So if there's any questions in particular, you can get in touch with me directly. I'll have my details at the end of the presentation. In terms of fees, again, this varies depending on the course that you're choosing, as well as the study level. But typically, the lowest amount would be around 19,000 through to sort of 26 through to 28,000 pounds per year for some of the more expensive master's programs. So it really varies depending on kind of subject area. And like I say, any specific questions, I'm happy to kind of pick those up directly. We do offer scholarships here at Nottingham, but both for bachelor's degrees and taught master's programs. So for undergraduate students, if you have an offer to study with us, you're able to apply for a scholarship. And we have scholarships of around £2,000 or £7,000. And this is towards the first year tuition fee. For master's students, if you have an offer to study with us, you can apply for a postgraduate excellence award, and these are worth £4,000 or £8,000. And we also have sports scholarships for high performing athletes. So if you are competing at kind of regional or national level, then there may be sports scholarships available to you. Some of our departments also offer their own funding. And they will be in touch if you do apply and there's funding available. They will normally contact you directly. So some funding options for students applying to study at Nottingham. So we'll just talk very briefly about kind of career support before moving on to the kind of campus itself and some of the more student life kind of aspects of studying here. So obviously going to university is largely about improving your career options. So degrees from Nottingham are really, really valued, both here in the UK and across the world. So we're ranked in the top 10 in the UK for employability. So Nottingham graduates are often sought after by top employers who recognise the kind of quality of graduates from the university. And just to highlight some of the kind of work experience opportunities that are available to you. So we actually have a really big careers team here at Nottingham who work with students throughout their degree, whether that's a 1-year master's course or a 4-year bachelor's program. They will work with you at whatever stage you're ready to kind of get in touch with them. And they can help with everything from job searching through to writing a CV. They can help you with practice interviews. They often host quite a lot of events throughout the year, both big careers fairs as well as networking and guest lectures. So there's really lots of opportunities to connect with employers. We have a placements team, both for undergraduates and postgraduates. So you can do placements with local companies working on very specific projects, normally for between 8 to 12 weeks. Some of our students will have the option to do a year in industry, where you will work as part of your degree for a year with an employer. And we also have the Business School Ingenuity Lab. So for students who are thinking about maybe starting their own business, this is a really good opportunity to get involved in that aspect. So the Ingenuity Lab is based on one of our campuses. So I'll talk to you about it in a couple of slides, but it essentially offers free support for setting up your own business. So they can give advice on things like marketing, investment proposals, contracts, and it's just a really good resource to have available. And we also do a lot of kind of enterprise competitions each year. So we have the opportunity for students to pitch their own business ideas, and you can actually win money to kind of create that business idea. So we have quite a few students or graduates now that are based in the Ingenuity Lab who actually were awarded money during their time here for a business idea, and they've set that up whilst they were studying, and are now working on that from the Ingenuity Lab. So lots of opportunities there. And we also have the Unitemps job service. So this is for students looking for short-term jobs, flexible kind of working opportunities. They advertise over 5,000 vacancies every year. So on a student visa, you can work up to 20 hours part-time. So lots of students will look through Unitemps for a part-time job. And just to highlight some of the kind of accreditations we have and some of the links to industry. So I'm just using the example here of engineering. So on the left-hand side, you can see some of the professional organizations that our courses are accredited by. And on the right-hand side, you can see examples of some of the industrial partners we have. So lots of our staff have links to industry, either through kind of previous employment or research partnerships. So lots of students will work with these companies on placement. So you get really hands-on opportunity to experience what it's like working for one of these companies. And as I said, Rolls-Royce have a research facility on campus as well, and they do lots of work with students. So you get lots of opportunities to kind of develop that aspect of it. So just to talk briefly about campuses and student life. So in Nottingham, we actually have 3 campuses. So our main campus, or the biggest campus we have, is University Park. And this is a really beautiful, huge campus. It's 300 acres of parkland. The only way to kind of accurately describe that is that it probably takes about 40 minutes to walk from one side to the other. And you can see here on screen a big lake. So students can actually rent boats and go paddle boarding on the lake here. And the tower you can see in the background is one of the kind of the oldest building on campus, so Trent Building, and it's the one that most students will associate with Nottingham. This will give you an overview of University Park, so you can see just how big it is. We have our sports fields just at the bottom of the screen. The main kind of part of campus is largely gardens and kind of beautiful green space. But on campus, we have absolutely everything that you could need. So accommodation, sports village, we have places to eat and drink, we have a doctor's and kind of dentist's healthcare facility, banks, we have a kind of arts exhibition centre. There's loads to do on campus. It kind of works as a small town in itself, but you can actually be in the city centre in about 10 to 15 minutes. So we have a bus or trams that go directly from campus, or you can walk it in about 35 to 40 minutes. So really, really central. The second campus we have is Jubilee Campus, and this is about 10 minutes away from University Park, or maybe 3 minutes on the bus. So we actually have a bus that goes between the campuses for free all day, every day. Jubilee Campus is where our business school, computer science and education departments are based. And as you can see from the kind of architecture on screen, it's quite unique looking. It's much newer, and there's a big, I mean, at Nottingham in general, we have a big focus on sustainability, but particularly on Jubilee Campus, it's designed to be very eco-friendly. So you can see again, it's quite green, and again, it has a lake. And this campus as well has accommodation, a sports centre, cafes, libraries. So each campus has everything that you need, and you can choose to live on the one that kind of suits you best. So if you're studying and your course is based on University Park, but you prefer the accommodation on Jubilee, then that is absolutely fine. And then the third campus we have is Sutton Bonington. And this one is a little bit more rural. So it's about 15 kilometres from University Park. And this is home to our biosciences and veterinary medicine and science courses. So very much a purpose-built campus. It has some really high-tech facilities. So brewing facilities, 3D imaging, greenhouses, specialist laboratories. And it's actually based on a working dairy farm. So you can see from this overview just kind of how rural it is. It's very much a countryside campus. But again, it has accommodation, libraries, a really nice food hall. They do a farmers market once a month. So it's a really lovely campus to be based on. Students who study here will typically live here because it is slightly easier. But there's a bus that goes into Nottingham for students, and that's free to get here as well. So it's very, very easy to get around, but very much designed for students on these courses. And then, as mentioned, we have our 2 overseas campuses. So lots of students will have a chance to spend part of their degree at one of these options. So in terms of where you would live at Nottingham, the accommodation that we offer is either all on campus or within kind of 5 to 10 minutes. We have 24-hour security. All of your bills are included, including things like internet, as well as content insurance. And it's guaranteed accommodation as long as you apply within the accommodation deadline, which is typically in July. So accommodation for next year isn't yet open for applications, and you can only apply if you have an offer. So it's quite broad in terms of what's available. You can choose to have what we call catered. If you're an undergraduate student, you can choose between catered or self-catered. So catered is where your meals are included. You have a kind of dining hall. Self-catered is where you have your own kitchen that you share with your housemates. Everyone typically has their own bedroom. So it's not very common to share a room here in the UK. For the few options that we do have where it's a shared room, you have to be requesting to share that with someone that you know. So generally, you have your own room, and lots of students can choose to have their own bathroom as well if that's something that you want. And quite a lot of different price ranges as well. So it just depends on your budget and the type of room you're looking for, but you can search on our website and kind of filter down based on your preferences. So just to talk about student life before we finish up and kind of go on to some questions. So just to highlight that in Nottingham, there's a huge range of support available for students, both international students and home students. So everyone will be assigned a personal tutor. And this is someone in your department who is kind of your main point of contact, and they will be in touch with you regularly throughout your degree. They'll have kind of catch-ups with you to check in and make sure everything's going okay on your course. You can chat to them about module options, about career kind of choices, and they'll be there as someone to just kind of check in with. We also have welfare officers who are there to make sure that kind of personally everything's okay and you're settling in. We have lots of different academic support available, English language support. I mentioned that we have the careers team, but we also have a visa and immigration team who can help with any visa queries, the graduate route, all of that kind of questions. And then we also have a researcher academy. So this is designed specifically for postgraduate students, and it's a dedicated academy for kind of research skills and purely for kind of postgraduate kind of support. In terms of societies that we have here at Nottingham, so actually studying in the UK, one of the best aspects of it is the amount of extracurricular activities that are on offer. So here at Nottingham, we have over 300 student-run clubs, societies, and this covers everything from kind of ones that might relate to your course. So for example, we have the Pro Bono Society for law students, where they actually give legal advice to members of the public. We have things like the Silver Screen, which is a film club. We have the mic, which is an open mic night that students can join, as well as things like cultural faith societies, international societies. So we actually have the Nottingham Turkish Student Society, which is a really nice way of kind of connecting with other students from home, as well as lots of opportunities for volunteering. So you can get involved in a whole range of activities, and these are done kind of outside of your studies. It's something that you'll do in your spare time. And you can join as many or as few as you want to. So you basically can choose to kind of do things that you know you'll enjoy, or you can try something completely different. The choice is completely up to you. And we have lots of sports facilities as well. So I mentioned that each campus has sports centres, but on University Park we have our biggest sports centre. This is called the David Ross Sports Village, and it's a really incredible facility. It was a £40 million investment, and it has pretty much everything that you could think of for a sports kind of village. So we have a 200 station fitness suite. We have a martial arts dojo centre. I think we're the only university in the UK to have that. We have an all-glass squash court. So we've hosted the European squash tournaments here. A high performance athlete zone. We have climbing walls, so rock climbing and bouldering indoors. We've had cricket teams, so the Indian cricket team and the Australian cricket team have trained here using our facilities. So some really, really kind of good options for you. There's also a really nice cafe in the David Ross Sports Village. So for students who aren't interested in sports, but just want kind of a different place to go and study or do some work, the cafe is great, and it looks over the rock climbing wall, so you can watch people climbing indoors and get a good coffee and kind of do some reading. But yeah, lots of different things for you to get involved in, whether you want to play at kind of the highest university level or just compete for fun. So we have over 70 different sports teams, and yeah, you can try pretty much anything you want to. And just to finish up by telling you a little bit about the city. So I mentioned earlier, Nottingham's quite a small sized city. However, it has one of the biggest student populations in the UK. It's very much a student city. We have 2 universities here in Nottingham, and it's very, very vibrant. Lots of different things going on. I mentioned about its Purple Flag Award, so very safe place to be a student, and it has quite a buzzing art scene. So lots of independent theatres, cinemas, art galleries, really good shopping. So we've got the most independent shops outside of London. It's got a great food and drink scene. So lots of independent restaurants. You'll find kind of different world cuisines, and a really nice kind of cafe culture in Nottingham. So quite a large part of the city centre is pedestrianised, and some really nice kind of coffee shops with outdoor seating and kind of staying open quite late. So it's got quite a nice mix of everything, history, culture. And it was described by one of our newspapers quite recently as a fun, funky and affordable place to live. And I think that kind of summarises Nottingham quite well. There's always something new going on. It's very artsy, and it's not that expensive to live here. So it's a really nice combination. Just a few photos of the city that I'll quickly talk you through. So on the top left-hand side, you've got Ye Olde Trip to Jerusalem. This is said to be the oldest pub in the UK. And it's actually built into the kind of caves here in Nottingham. So Nottingham is built on a system of caves. It's a very historical city. And you can go into the caves and explore. It's a really kind of interesting part of Nottingham's background. And this pub kind of is built into the city walls. The next one is Rock City. So this is one of our kind of music venues here in Nottingham. Some really good gigs are on here, as well as comedy nights and things like that. So it's quite a popular student destination. And then the photo next to that on the right-hand side is Trent Bridge. So this is our kind of world famous cricket ground. Then the bottom row on the left, we have Nottingham Contemporary. So this is an art gallery. And they have some incredible exhibitions as well as a really nice gift shop. So that's in the city centre. Next to it is Woollerton Park, Woollerton Hall. So this is actually this was used in Batman, The Dark Knight, and it's Wayne Manor. So this is where they filmed it. But it's actually a deer park that's just 2 minutes from campus. It's a really beautiful place to go for a walk, and you can go inside the house and kind of explore. So it's a really nice day out. And then the final two images, one of them is just an image of one of the kind of buildings in the city centre to show kind of the history and beauty of some of the buildings here. And then the one next to it is Nottingham Playhouse. So this is one of our independent theatres, and they do some really, really good performances throughout the year. And a lot of them will do student discounts, so you can often see things for slightly reduced prices. So just some final resources for you to have a look at. I know that it's not been very easy to travel recently, and some of you would normally be coming over to visit the university. If that's not a possibility, we have a really good online tour. So you can use the link at the top of this screen, and you'll be able to explore the university, both the buildings, the campus itself. It's a really good way of kind of seeing what Nottingham is like without physically coming here. So I'd recommend using our virtual tour. And then our YouTube channel, there's some really, really good resources on here. Everything from kind of finding out about your course through to the city centre. You can do student accommodation tours. It's just a really nice way to hear from our current students. So lots of these are done by our student ambassadors. And then we also have something called UniBuddy, which is a really good platform for connecting with current students and chatting to them. So would recommend having a look at both of those. And just finally to say thank you very much for listening. I will stop sharing my screen in just a second, but just in case you want to take down either of these links. So the bottom one is my email address. If anyone would like to get in touch directly, you are very welcome to, but we will go to the Q&A in a second. And then the link that is included there is through to our inquiry form. If you did want any more specific information about a particular subject area, please use that form to complete your details, and we'll be able to get in touch with you directly. So thank you very much for listening. I will just stop sharing my screen now and go to the Q&A. Perfect. So we'll have a look. So there's some questions that have come in about scholarship opportunities. Are there any scholarship that covers the tuition fees completely, and what are the criteria? So for scholarships, we don't offer full funding, unfortunately. So they would be partial scholarships. In terms of the criteria, so the first thing that you need to have to apply for a scholarship is an offer to study for us. And once you have an offer to study with us, then you're able to apply for a scholarship. So we have a Turkey and Middle East scholarship. That's the one that most of you would apply for. And that's both undergraduate and postgraduate taught masters that we offer. And when we assess who is eligible, we will be looking at two things. Your grades, so how academically, how well you've done, or are predicted to do, and then an application form. So there's a number of questions that you'll typically have to answer about how the scholarship will benefit you, why you're applying for it, and they will use those to kind of determine who is eligible and who will be selected. So would recommend having a look at our scholarship web pages. So they're available online if you just Google University of Nottingham scholarships, or I'll post the link to it in here in just a second. But you'll be able to see all of the funding that's available. So there's then a question about postgraduate opportunities for dentistry. Unfortunately, dentistry is one of the few areas that we don't teach at any subject level. So that wouldn't be possible at Nottingham, unfortunately. A question that says, is there a separate application system for the Malaysia and China campuses? Yes, so you will apply to the Malaysia and China campuses directly. So if you go to their websites, they will have their application system available. Merv has asked, do you only accept IELTS, or is TOEFL or Duolingo accepted? No, so we accept IELTS, TOEFL, Pearson English, Cambridge English. We have quite a wide list of qualifications that we accept for English language. We don't accept Duolingo, unfortunately. And in terms of the scores that are needed, it will depend on the course that you're applying for. So if you have a look at the course web pages, there will be an entry requirements section which will tell you exactly what IELTS score is needed or the alternatives that we accept. A question from Sema that says, is there a job placement help for graduates? So our careers team will be able to support you with kind of looking for jobs and how to apply for them, and they will support you with things like job interview practice, building your CV, preparing for interviews. So the careers team will be kind of able to support you from whenever you're interested in kind of working with them. They will be in touch kind of when you start your degree and then keep in touch with you throughout the year. And then following on from that, how many hours are foreign students allowed to work a week? So you're allowed to work 20 hours part-time on a student visa. So that's something that you'll be able to do. Do we have finance master's programs? Yes, we do. Typically, we have banking and finance and accounting, quite a few different finance courses. They are very popular, so they have quite early deadlines. So I'd recommend having a look at the kind of course web pages. They will list the deadlines on there. Minimum GPA will depend on the university you're studying at, but typically 3.0 GPA would be the average. Some universities we may consider 2.8, but that would be the minimum. So 2.5 wouldn't be eligible for any of our courses here at Nottingham, unfortunately. Couple of new questions. So if we get a job offer from a company, can we get a work permit? So that's something that our visa team would be able to advise on. I'm not allowed to give visa advice, unfortunately, but that's something that they would be able to support and work with you with to kind of advise on how that would work. And then a final question that's come in, how much is the accommodation and kind of other facilities? So accommodation, on average, I would say is around £6,000 per year at Nottingham. There are some options that are slightly cheaper than that and some that are slightly more expensive, but 6,000 would typically be the average, and it will include, you'll have your room, you'll have, depending on kind of whether you have catered accommodation or not, you might have a kitchen. If you don't, you'll have a small kind of pantry area with fridge, microwave, that kind of thing. There's laundry facilities, places to sit and kind of hang out with your friends. So they have what we call common rooms. So lots of different accommodation options, just depending on kind of your preferences. And then there is a question that says, can students transfer from Nottingham to any other university? That's something that you would need to check with the university that you're looking to transfer to. So we can only advise on transfers into Nottingham, but you would need to check with other universities about transferring out of Nottingham. So I think that was all the questions. I'll just have a quick look through. If there's anything else that anyone would like to ask, please do type it in now. Or if not, please feel free to get in touch directly or via the inquiry form. I will post my email address into the chat again, just so you've got that. Please do feel free to get in touch directly. And otherwise, we will end the presentation there. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending. I hope it was useful for you, and I hope to hear from some of you soon. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much for your great presentation, Isabella. We believe it was a really informative webinar for the attendees, and you covered all of the questions. Thank you for your answers too.
No problem. Thank you so much for organizing. No problem. Thank you.
Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Umarım sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. University of Nottingham ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Isabella'nın paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden ulaşabilirsiniz. Ayrıca sizi alttaki webinarımıza da davet etmek isteriz. Thank you very much again, Isabella. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.